Chosen one, what you are about to discover will leave you astounded. If you're here right now, know that this moment is no accident. It is divine timing, pulling you to this very place because something remarkable is about to unfold in your life. There are moments in life when your greatest victory doesn't come from what you did, but from what you didn't do. You didn't lash out. You didn't break down. You didn't chase what God told you to walk away from. And in doing so, you just saved yourself from a battle you didn't even know was forming behind the scenes. Heaven saw it. God took note. The way you held your tongue, the way you kept your peace, the way you stayed planted instead of panicked, that was the move. You didn't just stay disciplined, you triggered divine protection. This is the story of how your restraint just rerouted destruction. Let's break it down. Before we dive in, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, because this is a message every chosen one needs to hear. If you feel the power of this message resonating with you, drop the number 77 in the comments. This isn't just a number. It's a powerful signal to the universe that you're aligned with divine truth and ready to claim the blessing that's rightfully yours. Only those who are truly chosen will stay until the end, and those who do will unlock deeper understanding, sharpen their spiritual awareness, and claim the blessings hidden within this message. And remember, this is knowledge that unfolds layer by layer. Rewatch this video as many times as you need to align your mind, body, and spirit with the truth being revealed. Each time you return, you'll notice something new, something vital that you may have missed the first time. Chapter 1. The temptation to react. You were provoked. Someone pushed your buttons. Maybe life pushed you to the edge. The betrayal stung. The lies cut deep. The disrespect made your blood boil. And every part of you wanted to clap back, to raise your voice, to return the pain, to make them feel what you felt. You wanted to defend your name, your heart, your integrity. You had every reason to respond, every right to react. But then, something deeper spoke. A still, small voice inside said, "Don't." That wasn't fear. That wasn't weakness. That was discipline. That was spiritual strength. That was divine wisdom, keeping you from walking into a trap, dressed like a moment of justice. See, the enemy doesn't always show up with destruction. Sometimes he shows up with a setup, a stage moment to get you to act in your flesh, to step outside your grace. He knows if he can't stop you, he'll try to trigger you. He'll try to bait you into a battle that costs your peace, your clarity, and your alignment. But you didn't fall for it. You didn't take the bait. You chose stillness over noise, restraint over reaction. You decided that your purpose was too great to be dragged down by petty conflict. And that decision, that single moment of discipline, did more than you know. You didn't just avoid a fight. You passed a test. You demonstrated maturity. You stepped into mastery. Because anyone can react, but it takes a chosen one to remain rooted when chaos knocks. You proved that not everything deserves your energy, your explanation, or your attention. You remembered that peace is power, and silence is strategy. What the enemy hoped would derail you actually elevated you. What was designed to make you stumble made you stand taller. Because when you chose not to respond, heaven did. Your silence wasn't empty. It was filled with faith. Your refusal to clap back didn't make you weak. It made you unshakable. That moment was bigger than you knew. It wasn't about that person or that situation. It was about your next level. Your response would have cost you time. Your reaction would have cost you traction. But your discipline, it saved you. And here's the powerful truth. Had you reacted emotionally, you would have delayed what was divinely scheduled. But because you stood in self-control, you moved in alignment. You kept the heavens open over your life. You kept your access intact. You walked in spiritual authority. Your discipline didn't just protect your peace, it preserved your promise. So the next time you're tempted to react, remember this. The enemy wants your reaction. God is looking for your restraint. Your future depends on your ability to stay focused, grounded, and faithful, even when everything in you wants to respond. Discipline is not denial. It's preparation. It's positioning. And because you passed the test, you're being positioned for something far greater than the moment you attempted to lose it all. Chapter 2. The Silent Battle. Not all warfare is loud. In fact, some of the fiercest, most grueling battles you'll ever face will be the ones no one sees. No explosions, no noise, just a daily war inside your soul. The kind that makes you smile in public while silently holding back tears. The kind that makes you show up for others while wondering who's really showing up for you. These are the battles that test your spirit, stretch your endurance, and shape your identity. And chosen one, you've been in that kind of battle. You know what it's like to be in a storm and still stay silent, to be surrounded by misunderstanding, yet not feel the need to defend yourself, to be attacked by assumptions, shaded by envy, and ignored by those you once supported, yet still choose peace. That's not weakness. That's warrior strength. That's spiritual maturity. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. People saw your calm, but they didn't see your chaos. They saw your discipline, but they didn't see the decisions behind it. They saw the light in your eyes, not the weight on your back. What you carried alone. Not because no one cared, but because it was your assignment. Your battle, your proving ground. You weren't just walking through fire, you were being refined by it. And instead of fighting fire with fire, you walked in the Spirit. Instead of clapping back, you bowed your head in prayer. Instead of becoming bitter, you leaned into becoming better. You didn't just survive that silent season. You were being strengthened by it. Heaven took notice. God saw every moment you held your tongue, every time you forgave without an apology, every tear you wiped away in silence, every time you resisted retaliation, not because you were afraid, but because you were aware. Aware of what was at stake, aware that your reaction could cost you your peace, aware that the enemy's greatest goal was not just to hurt you, but to pull you out of position. But you stayed, you endured, you obeyed. That discipline didn't just hold you together, it shielded you. It built an invisible wall of protection around your life. People tried to curse you, but it bounced off your covering. The darts were thrown, gossip, slander, betrayal, but they never reached your core. Why? Because you were operating under heaven's protection plan, not because of your power, but because of your posture. You were faithful in the shadows. You were disciplined in the dark. And now, heaven is preparing to reward you in the light. Your silent battles have built the foundation for your loud breakthrough. And when your elevation comes, people will wonder how you got there, not knowing how many nights you wept, how many moments you almost broke, or how many attacks you absorbed without saying a word. But God knew. And God always rewards what's done in secret. Your silent battle wasn't a waste, it was worship. And the victory you're walking into now, it's not random, it's earned. Chapter 3. The Discipline of Delay. Sometimes, the hardest thing God will ever ask of you is to wait. Not because you're lazy, unmotivated, or uncertain, but because you're ready. And he says, "Not yet." Waiting isn't easy, especially when everything around you seems to be moving ahead. Everyone else appears to be making progress, while you feel stuck. The temptation to rush is strong. You want to take action, fix the situation, chase after opportunities that seem right. But when the moment came to act, something inside you told you to pause, to wait for God's timing. And that still small voice wasn't wrong. That pause wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. That delay wasn't denial, it was protection. You thought you missed an opportunity, but in reality, what you thought was a closed door was God's way of keeping you safe from a path that wasn't meant for you. The job or relationship you thought you lost. It wasn't in alignment with your destiny, and had you pursued it, you would have ended up in a place that wasn't meant for you. Your discipline to wait wasn't passive. It was an active choice to trust God's plan and timing. Trusting God's timing isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing the hardest thing, resisting the urge to rush, to force your way through, to create your own outcomes. When you chose to wait, you chose to trust that God knows better than you. You chose to believe that the path He has for you is greater than any shortcut or quick fix you could create on your own. God's delays are never denials. They are divine detours leading to something greater. You may have thought that missing an opportunity meant you were falling behind, but in reality, you were being positioned for something far better. Every moment you spent waiting, you were being prepared, strengthened, refined, and aligned with your true purpose. That pause was not an absence of movement, but the necessary preparation for your next steps. The truth is, what's for you will never pass you by, and what God has for you will come at the perfect time when you're truly ready to receive it. There is an appointed time for everything, and nothing can delay your destiny. So, when you find yourself in a season of waiting again, don't panic, don't rush, don't try to make something happen before it's time. Trust that God is working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. Trust that He's guiding you to the right place at the right time. Your waiting has purpose. It's positioning you for the very things you've prayed for. The answers, the blessings, the breakthroughs, they are on the way. Your discipline in this season of delay wasn't wasted. It was a divine opportunity for growth, for understanding that sometimes the best thing you can do is wait. And when the time is right, you'll step into your purpose with a heart and mind fully prepared for everything that's coming your way. You'll be ready for the blessing because you allowed God to refine you through the process. The delay has only made you stronger, wiser, and more prepared to walk in the fullness of your destiny. Chapter 4. Obedience over emotion. You wanted to call them. You wanted to quit. You wanted to post something that would have felt good in the moment, but would have cost you dearly later. The weight of frustration, the anger, the pain, all told you to react, to take matters into your own hands. You could have vented. You could have let it all out. But instead, you chose obedience. You chose the quiet voice over the loud, chaotic emotions. In that moment of silence, you made a choice that wasn't popular, a choice that wasn't easy, but a choice that would change the course of your life. You said no when everything inside you screamed yes. You chose to obey God's still small voice instead of following the impulses of your flesh. And in that single, seemingly small act, your life took a turn you couldn't see yet, but one that would lead you to peace, purpose, and protection. That act of obedience wasn't just about avoiding a temporary moment of satisfaction. It was about breaking cycles. What you didn't know in that moment was how much pain you avoided. By choosing obedience over your emotions, you stepped out of a pattern that could have kept you stuck. You broke free from a trap that others around you might never have recognized. And in doing so, you stopped something from repeating, something that had haunted your family, your relationships, your choices, maybe even for generations. Your obedience wasn't just an isolated act. It was a victory over emotional patterns that wanted to control you. You didn't allow past trauma or disappointment to dictate your future. Instead, you trusted in the long-term reward of doing what was right, even when it didn't feel good. This wasn't just self-control. It was spiritual strength at work. Chosen one, your discipline created a ripple effect that will echo through your future. The choices you made in those quiet moments of obedience will open doors, prevent pitfalls, and align you with divine favor. That decision to hold your tongue, to wait instead of rushing, to walk away instead of engaging, it shifted something in the spiritual realm. You'll never know just how much you avoided by choosing obedience. You'll never fully see the generational curses you broke, the unhealthy patterns you turned away from, or the relationships you saved from unnecessary chaos. What you do know is this: your future just shifted because you didn't follow your feelings, but followed what was right. And because of that, you've set yourself up for an abundance of blessings that will only continue to grow. The moment you obeyed, you redefined your future. You began to see things in a new light, and every choice you make with obedience from this point forward only strengthens that foundation. You're stepping into a life aligned with purpose, and that's the power of choosing obedience over emotion. It's not just a decision in the moment, but a divine investment in the destiny you're stepping into. The rewards of obedience go beyond what you can comprehend now. They multiply in ways you'll only fully understand in hindsight. Every step you take in alignment with God's will is preparing you for something greater than what you could have imagined. Chapter 5. The Spiritual Reaction. What you did in the natural triggered something in the spirit. You may not have realized it at the time, but your decision to stay disciplined wasn't just a personal victory. It was a spiritual shift. When you kept quiet instead of reacting, angels moved. When you prayed instead of panicked, heaven responded. When you forgave instead of cursing, chains broke. Not just for you, but for those connected to your name. Every action in the physical world has a spiritual consequence. That's what most people don't understand. They think walking away, staying calm, or choosing peace is weakness. But in reality, it's warfare. Every time you resisted the temptation to fall into old cycles, every time you refused to be provoked, every time you stood in faith instead of fear, you were winning battles you couldn't even see. The enemy wanted you to react. He wanted you to step into a fight that wasn't yours, to lose your peace, to operate in the flesh instead of the spirit. But you didn't fall for it. You chose obedience, patience, and wisdom. And because of that, you didn't just avoid negativity, you unlocked favor. What you thought was a small act of restraint was actually an earthquake in the spiritual realm. It shifted atmospheres. It disrupted the enemy's plans. It pushed back darkness without you having to lift a finger. That's how chosen ones fight. Not with loud words or reckless actions, but with wisdom, patience, and obedience. And here's the most powerful part. The blessing that's coming to you now isn't random. It's a direct result of the battles you won in silence. God saw your discipline and rewarded you. He saw your restraint and elevated you. Your name is being spoken in places you haven't entered yet. Doors are opening because of the integrity you showed when no one was watching. You didn't know it, but your small act caused major movement in the unseen. And now, because you remained faithful, the reward is already being released. This is a new level of favor, a divine promotion. What you thought was being ignored was actually being documented in heaven. Every tear, every prayer, every held-back word, it all counted. The angels were not only watching, they were dispatched on your behalf. And now, chains that had you bound for years are breaking. Curses are being reversed. Generational burdens are being lifted. Not just because you shouted or fought, but because you obeyed when it mattered most. Your restraint created room for God's glory to move in ways your reaction never could. What you did in silence is echoing loudly in eternity. And here's what's incredible. Your spiritual obedience is creating generational freedom. Your children, your future, your legacy, all of it is being shaped by the moment you chose God's way over your own emotions. Your battle wasn't just about you, it was about those coming after you. Because of your faithfulness, they won't have to fight the same wars. You broke cycles, you shifted atmospheres, you became the answer to a prayer someone else didn't even know how to pray. Chapter 6. What you never saw. There were things forming behind your back, conversations being had, people plotting, opportunities designed to distract, not elevate, doors trying to open that would have set you back years. The enemy had a plan, but your discipline cancelled it. Because you didn't move out of emotion, the attack lost power. Because you didn't chase after the wrong thing couldn't attach itself to you. What you didn't see was more dangerous than what you did. But here's the miracle. Your discipline saw for you. Your quiet decisions, your hidden integrity, your secret prayers, they built a force field around your destiny. While others were reacting and rushing, you were rooted. And that stillness sent a loud message in the spirit. This one is covered. You didn't even know what was coming. You didn't see the trap. You didn't hear the slander. You didn't witness the door that would have led to disappointment. But heaven did, and heaven responded to your restraint, your consistency, your calm, your character. It shielded you from sabotage. It redirected plans that weren't from God. It confused the enemy because he expected you to break down. He expected you to snap, to lash out, to move in your own strength. But you didn't. You held your peace. You trusted God's timing. You stayed in your lane. And in doing so, you avoided battles that were never yours to fight. You avoided attachments that looked like blessings, but were actually burdens. You avoided setbacks that were dressed as sudden opportunities. And here's what's deeper. Your obedience in private unlocked protection in public. Your faithfulness in the unseen gained you favor in the unknown. Every time you chose to walk by faith and not by sight, you planted seeds of security for your future. Here's the truth. Had you acted on impulse, you would have opened doors your discernment was meant to keep shut. But you matured. You paused. You gave God room to move. And because of that, the plan of the enemy collapsed before it could ever reach you. You may never fully understand what your stillness saved you from, but one day you'll look back and realize that delay was protection. That rejection was redirection. That silence was a shield. You didn't just resist temptation, you rerouted destruction. You didn't just keep your peace, you protected your promise. Sometimes your greatest victories will come from battles you never even knew were being fought, because heaven fought them for you. Chosen one, You are still standing not because of what you fought, but because of what you refused to fight. You won by not swinging. You advanced by standing still. That's the paradox of divine discipline. It looks passive, but it's powerful. And that one holy decision, to stay still, stay focused, and stay disciplined, became your deliverance. Heaven honored your restraint. God defended your name. And the doors that are about to open, they're the ones He chose for you, not the ones the enemy tried to offer as counterfeits. What you never saw coming was danger. What you never saw working was deliverance. What you never saw forming was favor star. And it's about to show up in ways you never imagined. And when it does, you'll realize your discipline didn't delay your destiny. It protected it. And now you're ready to walk through the right doors with wisdom, peace, and power. Chapter 7. Divine promotion is next. Now that the storm has passed, elevation is next. The battle wasn't just about survival. It was a proving ground for promotion. God saw what you endured. He saw the pain, the restraint, the prayers whispered through tears. But more importantly, He saw what you didn't do. You didn't retaliate. You didn't manipulate. You didn't chase clout or compromise your character to be seen. You stayed faithful in the hidden place. That's why promotion is coming. Not because you shouted the loudest, but because you stood the strongest when no one was watching. Not because you flexed your power, but because you humbled yourself. You proved you could be trusted in the dark, and now God is ready to trust you in the light. This promotion isn't just a position, it's a platform for purpose. It's not about titles or applause, it's about assignment. You're not being elevated for vanity, you're being elevated for impact. People will wonder how you rose so quickly, but they'll never see the depth of your discipline or the weight of your warfare. Discipline is the proof of spiritual maturity, and your maturity just moved heaven. You didn't skip steps, you didn't beg for shortcuts. You walked through the process, and that process purified you. It prepared you. It set you apart. That's why the door that's about to open isn't random. It's right on time. You were trusted with the silence, with isolation, with frustration, and now you're being trusted with influence, with new territory, with a deeper calling. You went low, and now God is bringing you high. But you won't be lifted in pride, you'll be lifted in purpose. And here's the beauty. You didn't even know what was coming. You weren't chasing elevation, you were chasing obedience. And because you held your peace, now your peace is your reward. The same people who overlooked you will have to watch you step into the very place they said you'd never reach. Your season of hidden obedience was not wasted. Every yes in secret is turning into a harvest in public. God saw every tear, every time you wanted to give up, every time you chose humility over hype. And He's rewarding you accordingly. You were forged in fire. That's why you won't fold under favor. Your faithfulness, even in the darkest seasons, proved you were ready for more. Now that same faithfulness is about to open doors you never imagined possible. What you held on to when it was hard will be what carries you into this new season. The truth is, your discipline just set the stage for this next chapter. You are protected, you are promoted, you are prepared. Chosen one, your discipline didn't just carry you through the storm, it launched you into your next season. You stayed anchored, you kept your soul aligned, and now the winds of favor are shifting in your direction. The delay is over. The training is complete. The trumpet has sounded. It's time to rise, not in pride, but in power. Not for recognition, but for restoration. What's coming next isn't just for you. It's for everyone connected to your obedience. Your destiny is calling, and this time, you're ready to answer. The stage is set, and the timing is perfect. The favor you've waited for is about to meet your faithfulness. Your calling is unfolding, and what was once a mystery is now becoming your reality. God's timing has been flawless. Every step, every moment led you to this divine promotion. This is divine promotion, and it's only just begun.